Marcus Rashford to Aston Villa, but does it actually work? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Own YouTube channel. And this video we have to dive into it. It's the big news of the transfer window. Where will Marcus Rashford end up? In the end, humiliated by Manchester United, Ruben Amorim, and I guess Ineos in a way. But finding the right home for him seemed to be a very, very difficult situation. You heard links to AC Milan, Borussia Dortmund, Napoli win there for a little bit as well. He ended up going to Aston Villa, staying in England, and as much as I would love, I've got the shirt up behind me, I've got 3 or 4 Marcus Rashford shirts, as much as I would love for it to work out, I just don't think this is the right move for him or Aston Villa as well. I don't think any party really wins of this, and in the end, neither do Manchester United, because it's a loan with an obligation to buy for 40 million euros come the end of the season. You know what? Emery saved a lot of players. He's made a lot of players very, very important and improved in a lot of different facets. But this Marcus Rashford one, for me, seems like a bit of a puzzle that's hard to solve. He's had 7 goals and 3 assists so far this season, so not really that bad. But it's structure, it's work rate, it's how he lines up in a well-organised and winning side that I just can't see. But maybe Aston Villa are the side that's almost complete. You add that Marcus Rashford piece, that might be enough to get over the line and make him perform consistently, be that important player. But I think there's a lot of problems with this deal. And I think, for one, it's the structure and the lineup. We'll get into that, I guess, in a little bit. You look back at his United career, 440 appearances, 143 goals, 63 assists. Obviously, he burst into the scene with those doubles versus Arsenal and Michelin. History writes itself, but it just seems weird how it's come to an end now. I think there's a lot of TikTok edits and Instagram Reels edits of why is it had to end this way. But in the end, I think as a United fan, as I guess a fan of Marcus Rashford, I'll say it, I think coming up on a podcast comes out in a few days' time with Anthony. I still want these players to succeed and to do well. And if that means they have to go elsewhere, I'm all for that, because Marcus Rashford's looked to shadow himself, I guess, since that first season under Erik ten Hag, when he played very direct as almost a second striker or as a wide player that basically came inside and kept cutting inside and shooting on goal. I think there's 2 seasons that really stand out for me. That first Erik ten Hag season, the COVID season where he had Greenwood, Martial and Rashford. It seems like he needs that support system around him. He needs a handy fullback next to him as well to help cover his flaws. So there's a lot of different things he needs to happen for him to flourish. But those 2 seasons are just remarkable. He's won the Europa League, 2 FA Cups, 2 EFL Cups, obviously the Community Shield in there as well. So in the end, a pretty solid career, considering he's come in the post-Ferguson era where things have not gone well for Manchester United. He's got a fair amount of trophies to show for it and has been that real face and led Manchester United. And I guess that's maybe one of the downfalls of being at Manchester United. He's had so much pressure as being the guy for Manchester United in this sort of post-Ferguson era. Local lad that's come up through the academy and carried the load. Maybe it was time for a new spot, but I just don't think Aston Villa is the right place. I really want to see him go abroad, start anew at a Dortmund or a Milan, or do what Anthony did and go to a total of country like Spain at Real Betis, who are going to support their player. You're going to just be happy to see him involved with the flair, playing his natural, exciting game, because Rashford and Anthony, 2 players at different levels of drop-off, I guess, but players at their best are fantastic to watch, unstoppable, proper Manchester United players, but the drop-off over the last year and a half has just been really humbling and quite disappointing to see, the real massive drop-off they've had. But you look at Anthony, first game at Real Betis, playing with freedom, the crowd, standing ovation, player of the match. He has a license to go and be him. I think Marcus Rashford needed that, but you're not going to get that in England with Aston Villa, a heavily supported team. You're still in the country, all the eyes are still on you. You haven't really escaped the spotlight, you haven't escaped the pressure. You're playing Champions League football. There's a lot of pressure still on him. I think he just needs to be relieved of that pressure, like he was under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in that Manchester United COVID side, like he was in the first season under Erik ten Hag. No expectations for those sides in those 2 seasons, and he flourished. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. Now let's get into, I guess, this move to Aston Villa and how it all lines up. I guess the negative around it, which is, I don't want to really be focused on it, but that's what I see about this move here. I guess it starts with it landing at Villa, because I think the wage was a problem. Villa are covering 70% of his wage, and the wage isn't cheap either, 350k a week. So the fair chunk they're covering. I don't see Milan doing that. I definitely don't see Borussia Dortmund doing that. with how those sides have not spent too much money in this window, covering 70% of 350k a week was not going to happen. So I think he almost horseshoed his way into Aston Villa because no other club could or willing to take on that wage. Manchester United were not willing to pay, I think, anything more than 50 or 40%. As such, Aston Villa was the only destination left for him. And it works out that, John Duran leaves the club. There's a hole in there. They need some other wide players as backup. I think backup's a key word. I just can't see him starting this side. Firstly, the system. They play with Leon Bailey out wide right. He is a touchline winger. But they've always had this balance where the opposite side, in this case, it being Jacob Ramsey, is just sort of inside winger and a second attacking midfielder or inside forward. And they've kept that for a while now. Moussa Diaby last season, he had the width. Morgan Rogers, or we've seen in recent times John McGinn as the opposite wide player who plays as a more narrow attacking midfielder type, a second attacking midfielder inside forward. So under Unai Emery's system here at Aston Villa, there's never truly been two out and out hug the touchline type wingers. And I think on that left-hand side in particular, you've got Ramsey there because Luca Digne is such an attacking fullback. Ian Martin, such an attacking fullback. Their job is to get up and down that bar line. That inside creator, being Ramsey, is there to facilitate balls into the centre forward, but most importantly, play that ball back out to the flank when they drop into the space, allow Digne to overlap, Matson overlap, play the ball back out into that open space, allow them to whip balls into the box. That won't happen with Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford is a hug the touchline, cut inside type player. A player that requires still the wing-back to push on around him. Luke Shaw does it very well. I often say I don't think Marcus Rashford's been playing well because he's been without Luke Shaw. His best at England came with Luke Shaw at left-back. His best at Manchester United came with Luke Shaw at left-back. It's because Luke Shaw's overlapping and he's able to cross the ball in. Your defenders can't double up because if that wing-back isn't there overlapping and creating the width, Marcus Rashford to cut inside on that right foot, fire one near cross goal or, fizz on at the near post. You can cover that off if you don't have a fullback going up and around the outside. But the system that Unai Emery stuck with is always one really, really wide winger and one inside winger, inside attacking midfielder that mostly is a more creative player. Someone that has the ability to find the pass, play the ball, come to the ball at his feet. And that's sort of another problem for me as well. Maybe it's more just a statement and a view of the Premier League in itself, but players like Heung-min Son and Marcus Rashford, they've looked shadows of themselves in recent times. I think the Premier League's slowly drifting away. The effect of Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta, of having these speedy, direct wingers, they don't work anymore. You need to be capable on the ball. You look at Dejan Kulusevski, you look at Alex Iwobi's improved his game on the ball so much more as well. Bukayo Saka's a prime example. Amad Diallo flourishing at Manchester United. Wingers that, yes, they're quick as well. Yes, they have that first step, but they're not so just direct at the bar line, cross the ball in, or direct cut inside. You have to have an ability to play the pass, reverse ball, play into the half space, play backwards, receive on the half turn and go. You can't just have that direct run straight down the line or that direct cut inside. The Premier League's evolved. It's covered off for players like that. They're probably the few that can do it still. Hudson-Odoi, Ante Elanga at Nottingham Forest are probably the standouts. Antoine Semenyo are the three that come to mind. But we haven't seen at Chelsea the likes of Pedro Neto struggling, Noni Madueke struggling because they are just direct wingers. Marcus Rashford's not a give-and-go passing type of winger. He's a goal-scoring, direct-running winger. Heung-min Son, direct-running winger. I know he's played centrally a lot this season, but when he's played on the left, he still hasn't found that form. And I think the Premier League is slowly phasing out that type of player, especially in this current iteration of the Premier League. And that's why I just don't think it's going to work out. Because his archetype of player, his style of football, it just isn't suiting the current pace and style of the Premier League that's current point in time. That's just a view of me of the league. Obviously, the system as well with Unai Emery. He's not going to fit in. They will not play two out-and-out, hugging the bar line, touchline type wingers. That's just not going to happen under Unai Emery's side. So, obviously, then we come to the further problem, which is, I guess, the attitude problem. Multiple managers apparently have come out and said the attitude was a problem for Marcus Rashford. You have to fix up. You're under Unai Emery, a pretty strict manager, a manager that wants to get the best out of his players. You're in Champions League football. You're pushing to try and find European football with Aston Villa. You want a contract with Aston Villa. You can't be 60% in. You have to be all the way in. And I think that's why I'm worried about him not leaving England, because it still might feel like the same sorts of environment. His head still might not be in the right place. And from the sound of it, you hear all these anecdotes. Can we take him as truth? I don't know. But even Wayne Rooney saying, as a kid, he was fantastic. When he came through the side, he was fantastic, focused. But as the years have gone on, you keep seeing he drift away in and out of games, in and out of form. Has great peaks where you know the natural talent's there, but then these great troughs and you think, where's his focus at? Where's his drive at? Obviously not trained to the standard Ruben Amorim wants. Garnacho's turned it around. He's playing now. Marcus Rashford couldn't. So another problem is his attitude. I just think Unai Emery would accept poor attitude. There's obviously been a discussion. We hear rumours of discussion between the manager and the player. But discussions are one thing. Actions are other things. He needs to show he's committed. He needs to commit to training, work hard, work his socks off because he's not going to get a starting role. And that brings me to my final point. I don't think Marcus Rashford actually starts for Aston Villa. I think they keep Jacob Ramsey. They keep probably Daniel Marlin outright if Bailey isn't the way to go. Obviously, Morgan Rogers is locked off in the number 10 there, and number 9 is Ollie Watkins the key. So Marcus Rashford then is left on the bench. He isn't playing on the right. He can play on the right, but Daniel Marlin, Bailey out there, he isn't playing out there. If they're chasing a game, maybe they chuck him on the left and they have two proper wide wingers. But it looks like he's going to be a backup to Ollie Watkins, similar to what John Duran was doing. And that's, you're looking at 15, 20 minutes if the game's won, or if you're chasing a game, maybe a little bit longer, 25 minutes, but you're not going to get much time. You're going to be a rotation player with a lot of football to come for Aston Villa, Champions League, FA Cup, as well as Premier League action. You're looking at sort of 3 games a week. Ollie Watkins cannot play all those games for full 90 minutes. Rashford will be the impact player. Is that the move that he wanted? I don't think so. Is that the move he was forced to make, or the clubs were forced to make? I absolutely think so. Because we come back to the top, the wages for Marcus Rashford are just way too much. For a player of his level, a player of his quality, we're speaking probably 100k too much. He's 250k a week at max, at his best. He hasn't been there for a good year and a half. I don't think any club takes that on. So that's the point. Even if he does succeed at Aston Villa, maybe scores 5 goals, assists 2, do they take him with those wages? Absolutely not. That's the reason why Milan, that's the reason why Borussia Dortmund never quite in and convert on him, because the wages are too much. And then his play style, this direct, cut inside type, running style of football, I don't think he'll work at Aston Villa. He'll be forced to play as the second striker coming off the bench. His pace in behind could cause problems to seal the game off, score a goal to make it 3-1 or 4-1 and really finish a game off. But I can't see him being that guy's going to take a spot from any of the starters, and I can't see him starting in any big games. And in the end of the day, Marcus Rashford, it seems like not the ego, maybe the mentality, he believes he should be a starter. I just don't think he's going to get that role. And I think in the end then, no one wins because he's not going to get the finished move. He's not going to complete the move. Aston Villa will not buy him out. He'll come back to Manchester United and they've got no chance of selling him with those wages. No one will even dare buy him for that sort of amount. You're looking at then Saudi Arabia where he doesn't want to go. He had his eyes on Barcelona. But where we're currently in, they ain't buying him. No big club is buying him, especially with PSR going around and the money and you need to match the balances up. With the wages he's on, with what Manchester United will probably see him as a 40, 50 million euros player, I just don't see it working. I wish it does work, and I wish him all the best, this new opportunity. Hopefully he does well for Aston Villa. He gets a permanent move. Everyone wins. United gets the money for him. He gets a new start. He can hit the ground running. But this current point in time, with the way Villa are set up, with his attitude apparent problems, the wages, I just don't think this is alone that's actually going to work out. There's other players around the world I think are absolutely going to work out. This still I'm worried about. It could end really badly for all parties. But fingers crossed, he hits the ground running, it all works out. Aston Villa makes some European competitions. They go deep in the Champions League. Marcus Rashford is central to the great second half of the season, and all things are good. But for someone who's trying to resurrect their career, I just don't think staying in England was the right move. But as I said, I think the wages have just made and forced his hand there, because I don't think anyone has taken on 350 grand a week. It is just extortionate at this current point in time. Interesting to see though how it all works out. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think Marcus Rashford made the right move? Do you think he will work at Aston Villa? And do you think Aston Villa was smart picking up Marcus Rashford, or is it going to become a bit of a lose-lose where no party wins out of this deal? Let me know that in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, smash a like on it, subscribe to the Players channel for more videos like these, and press that post notification bell so you know we upload podcasts, videos, reaction content here on the channel. With that being said, I hope you have a great day, guys. Enjoy the upcoming football, and I'll see you guys in the video very, very soon. Till next time, guys. See you later.